Alrighty.
You know, Wooly, you mentioned something about pants, and I'm having a bit of this is a bit of my week, but I forgot. I'm having a bit of a pants problem. Uh, the most of the pants
We
I'm
can't
wearing right
tell.
now. Yeah, you can't tell.
No.
Okay, good.
They could be
But
fucking
I'm
off.
yeah. I mean, no, I got
Okay.
pajama pants on, but that's different. Um, I lost 40 pounds over the past 2 months.
That's a lot of pounds.
Yeah, which is giving me a pants problem. In that my fucking pants are falling down off my fucking still fat but not quite as fat ass. Um,
Congratulations.
which which has put me in the bizarre position of no longer fat enough to hold up pants with girth, but still slightly too fat for most belts I would buy at the store.
That's why you go with the elastics.
Yeah.
That's the all adjustment way to go with it. But yeah, that's
So
a
like I'm in this weird space where I lost 40 pounds and I'm standing in a store looking at belts, and despite being like numerically thinner, I felt more embarrassed about my waistline than I have in years because I'm looking at the number.
um I mean that's a good problem to have, of course.
It's a better problem to have
The alternative.
than there was the oh, I'm gonna tell this story.
Oh boy.
There was the moment that I was sitting there, and Paige and I both were like, "No, gotta cut down. Nope, this has gone too far." And it's the time I got down. It was last winter when I sat down and we had to go somewhere, and I went to go put the seatbelt across, and it was like, "No."
Mm.
And she's like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, hold on, I got this." And
Mm.
I like sucked it in, and I like tilted, and I got it, and we were both like, "Oh no, this is no longer." Like, haha, Pat, you should lose some weight. I care about you. This is internal actualization of, oh no, I'm a fat bitch.
There's always a catalyst. There's always a
Yeah,
catalyst, and that's the moment where you either, yeah, you make or break, and the decisions you make in that moment when the seatbelt will not click,
yeah,
um, that's important because I'll tell you, the next step is straight to the drive around Walmart shopping seat.
yeah.
That whatever that thing is.
Straight to the wagon.
Straight to the hover round whatever thing,
Yeah.
just yeah.
So I will clarify. My darling wife never actually told me to lose weight. She always said to eat healthier, which is related, right? Um, but people are asking, 40 pounds in 2 months. How'd you do it? Well, I moved away from a place that made me sad. That's step one. And then I went somewhere where I can walk around all the time in nice weather, and it's pleasant outside and nobody mean to me. So I get my steps in. And then I live in a place and under a system in which my wife tells me what I'm allowed to eat and why I can't have extra tart.
I think that last one does a lot.
It helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a place where it's just like, don't eat that. I'm like, okay, that's probably the secret.
Okay.
That's probably the secret.
That I mean, people pay lots of money for that
Yeah.
to just have the person that says, "Hey, hey, no."
Also, I don't know how. Yeah, really. I don't know how much of it matters, but I'm also completely off of energy drinks. I have
Okay.
one a week,
Okay.
and it's usually on this show. I don't have one today because I had one yesterday. I've switched all the way over to tea.
That's pretty fucking healthy. Okay.
So yeah, that's cool. But now, but I don't know. Hey, Willie, you've gone up and down a couple pounds over the past 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's something that I'm running into that feels really almost disassociative, in which I'll come onto the show and people could see me, right? And they go, "Oh, I haven't been here in a couple months. Has Pat lost some weight?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." But then I look at myself,
Mm-hmm.
and it's literally exactly the same,
Mm-hmm.
like identical.
Yes.
And I'm like, I see no difference.
Yeah, that is. I mean, so there's two things. One, a flattering camera angle, lighting, and such will sometimes give a perspective of being more bigger or smaller than you actually are.
Yeah,
And I remember people would make those remarks when there was a time when I wasn't fluctuating at all, and I would still get like,
right.
"Oh, like something's changed," and it's like, "No, it's just the camera. It's really the same
Mm-hmm.
shit." But yes, what you see of yourself is conditioned, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it also is like a proven thing that, like, I mean, there's lots of people that, like, what you see of yourself after that conditioning is like, um, somewhat dissociated from what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I know I learned about how for some people, for example, like that have like eating disorders, a lot of the time, there's a test that was done where they take a picture of your full body and then
Mm-hmm.
stretch it out to ridiculous 1000% width, and then
Yeah.
the experiment is with no mirrors or anything, put it back
Oh,
to where
trying.
you
Yeah.
think 100% uh,
Mm-hmm.
accurate ratio is. And um, people fluctuate, but generally, a lot of the time we'll get it, within a 5-10% margin of error, one way or the other. And something that popped that was notable is that, like, for example, people with eating disorders a lot of the time ended up seeing 30% above
Yeah,
the
dysmorphic.
expected amount. So you would see like
Now,
130% as the expected target. So like that's something where it's like that's actually what they're adjusting it to. So you see
yeah,
things differently.
I will say, well, that rings true. And the other thing is that I saw somebody say it's almost like you see yourself every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of a gradual change, instead it's like for most people it's like, oh, I haven't seen you last week or whatever. You mentioned eating disorders. I don't think I had an eating disorder. I mean, it's just like all I can think of is that um, if I got sad, my mom would be like, "Here's a cookie," and then the cookie would make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's normal, right?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. No, not to imply that I thought that was the case. It's just more of an interesting thing about how our self perception can be warped
And
sometimes.
then and then when I was an adult on my own, and if I got really sad, I was like, wait a second. If one cookie makes you happy,
Mm-hmm.
what if you ate 400 cookies?
You'd be
You'd be
400 times as
so
happy.
happy. Oh my god.
It's just math.
It's
It's
that
just
I mean
math.
that's just straight up right there.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, no, losing weight's weird.
It
You
is.
know, I do feel a little different though, because I remember walking this dog, and me and the dog would get back to the house, and we would both be like, "Ugh!" Like both of us, like a pair. And now I'll get back to the house, and I'm like, "Huh, that was good." And the dog is like, his eyes rolling back in his fucking head, and he's like, he just falls down to the door, and he's like, "I walked you for 10 minutes."
Mm-hmm. what a real good test I feel is, especially like something that I remember doing, especially during fluctuation, is like hit the staircase that the next staircase you can, and see the difference in how you feel at the top of it. You know,
Mhm.
like, and does it go from like, okay, that took some work, versus like, all right,
Yeah,
I'm okay, versus nothing. You know,
yeah.
that's a nice little quick test, I would say.
Well, the other thing that's actually really bizarre about all this, like genuinely, is that my overall appetite has decreased by like 60%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's a cool part too.
Paige will make like Paige made. Here's a really good example. Right before the podcast, Paige made French toast for us, and she put 3 slices of French toast there. And I got to the last slice of French toast, and I'm like, no, can't. Literally can't. I would feel sick if I ate that. And I'm thinking back to like the pad of 6 months ago, where that wouldn't have been a problem at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's that in the bouncing around, that was something I noticed as well. And I mean, interestingly too, like it was also, I know, a byproduct of at least doing keto-ish things is an appetite reduction, which is nice because then you have a multiplier effect, which makes it easier to not like it makes it easier to stay on the right path because
Hmm.
you don't feel hungry anymore to overdo it.
Yeah.
You know,
There is
force
one
multiplier.
one minor weird factor in it though, which is probably too late to change. Which is there have been days in which it's like 9 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten anything, which is definitely a first for me,
Hmm.
right? And that's bad because the way I notice is that I'm like, I'm about to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? There has been no food in me
Mm-hmm.
ever. Um, but I swear to God, if you put down like a candy bar in front of me, I could eat that until I barfed.
Bag of
Like
reasons,
the
more specifically.
the fucking different stomach for sweets
Mm-hmm.
is like I'm like the French toast. Like, okay, I will literally vomit if I have another one. Oh, I'm so full. But if you were to float like like a 4 pound chocolate bunny in front of me, I could just kill myself with it.
So I've never had that. Punch Mom has that. Always has the ability to like make extra room for like something desserty. For me, when I'm full, I'm full. It's really interesting. Like, yeah, I'm personally, it's always been like, I've never had I've never felt that I've had like excess amounts of like eating and overeating as a part of my diet. I feel like it's
Mhm.
always mainly been like, I don't have enough activity going on, um, and I'm not moving around as much, and like,
Well, I mean, we're getting a lot of steps in sitting here doing this podcast.
certainly, and so, like, yeah, that's always been the thing. And when and you know, I always had this like sort of look at it, where I was like, I don't really actually consume that much when I'm writing it down and looking at it, but it's really just a matter of like, I guess, mobility, and then combining that with like, you know, my body retains quite a bit, it feels, by comparison to you know, others, I feel. And
And let
it,
me ask you a question. If I put a gun to your head, how many Cadbury cream eggs could you eat right now?
I mean, I haven't had one in years, but
Oh yeah,
like,
you went cold turkey on it?
I mean, like, I think someone might have gotten me one as like a gift like some
Yeah.
months ago, but like, it's just not a part of my intake at all, really.
Hmm.
No, what ends up happening is like, I'll wake up and like do the stream, start at 1. Like, I wake up, I'll, you know, have an energy drink, start the stream, and then pretty much, yeah, not eat, and then we'll be done, and then it'll be 8 p.m., and I'll be like, I'm fucking really weak and tired, and
Yeah.
then I'll have a dinner, and then that would pretty much be it. Um, but like, and then I might have like another snack before like I go to bed at some point like later on in that day. But like, yeah, it's
Hmm.
never been the intake for me. It's always just been the burn and the caloric output, I suppose.
Yeah, I think what might be the most disorienting moment for poor Paige was I had like a tart in the morning
Hmm.
once, and I ate the tart, and I'm like, oh, I'm really good with just the tart. Like, I'm good. I don't really need breakfast or whatever. And it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the fucking afternoon, and she's like, "Aren't you hungry?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm not hungry." She's like, "Well, maybe you have a second tart because she just wants to get the calories up or whatever."
Hmm.
Because she's trying to do right by me, and I appreciate it. And I said to her, "Nah, I don't know. If I get hungry, I'll just have one of the apples." And she just like stared at me like I was like a fucking body snatcher.
Hmm. Yeah,
And then I was confused.
that's yeah.
That's weird.
It's cool that the brain will make it easier, So
Yeah.
good shit. Maintain that. You know, do things that are obviously sustainable changes as opposed to like extreme temporary ones.
Well,
Um,
I always had this thing where I was like, what if I just stopped eating?
mm-hmm,
Like, what if I just stopped eating for long enough
mm-hmm.
that it all just fell away? And every time I would say that out loud, every person in my vicinity would be like, "That's fucking stupid, Pat."
Yep, that's how you go to. That's how it gets bad. That's how you get really, really sick really, really quickly.
But it just seems like such an obvious
It
solution to the
seems like an
problem.
obvious solution, but it's the worst. And yeah, don't fucking do it. Um, a lot of people, myself included, are like, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd probably work, right? And then no. So,
Apparently, your
um,
body likes to eat all the good parts before all the bad parts.
that's what sticks around.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh well. Anyway, hate to derail the podcast news section. It's just like
Not
you
at all.
mentioned. You,
That is a
you
healthy.
mentioned like
Hey,
belts specifically, and I'm like,
no.
oh man, I'm in a weird belt spot.
That is a accomplishment. It is a excellent one, and it is one that also is years in the making. When I made it down to my like lightest weight, I was extremely happy about that, and I talked about it, and it was very big as an accomplishment. So yeah, you did it.
Well, the worry here, right? Because I still got quite a ways to go. The worry here is that now I make it very clear on the podcast, and then
You
like
backslide and fuck
people
up.
people check in 6 months
Yep.
from now, like how much more? And I'm like,
Yeah.
-5.
Oh yeah. Hey, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Hey, how's the boxing going, Wooly? Well.
I mean, you couldn't control a global pandemic.
No, but like as a result of that and just the rest of it, like everybody, it went badly, and then shit just went right back on. And then of course, like I wish that for me it was as simple as like calories in, calories out, because that is what they say, and
Yeah,
um, it that that would simplify the equation. But I noticed that like um, even when I was doing, for example, just boxing,
yeah,
there was a point at which I would like just do that, and I would eat my 3 meals a day. And that was just maintaining. I wasn't moving anywhere, and that the only
yeah.
time
You plateaued,
I
right?
plateaued. So the only like there was a break point, and then it stopped and it never broke through again. So I realized like the only time I actively started losing weight was when I was doing boxing 3 times a week and running every single morning and doing my macros on counting my calories on the
And
tracker.
that's a lot.
And that is what it took for the number to go down and to stay going down. So one step missing from all of those equations means plateau, which doesn't seem normal, but it is. But it is what I observed over the course of years of trying this out.
Mhm.
So that's what I need to do to get there again, is get all three of those systems in place, which, as you said, is quite a lot, especially considering the work schedule. So that's what it's going to take. But yeah,
What if I just got a big rubber band that rubbed my tummy like this
Jiggle it,
on a machine?
jiggle it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
would that do it?
God, if only they worked. Just,
What
you
about that?
know,
What about that electrical pad that you slap on that just shocks
keep
your
shocking your
abs?
muscles. Yep.
Oh my god, that is.
I mean, if you could get like giant ripped fat abs on top of your fat, that'd be awesome.
Oh, the E Honda.
That'd be so cool if the electric shocks just did that, you know. But yeah, no.
Like that
Bruce
one always
Lee's
bothered me. Like if this worked, do you think it wouldn't just be the most famous fucking thing in the world? You think you'd be seen at a 2 a.m. on the goddamn infomercial?
it's because they said Bruce Lee did it, and that was all it took for that to stay a fucking like 4 a.m. commercial for the last 40 years, you know.
Hmm.